So first of all, this is the first Zoom that I've done, so I'm really excited.
Hey.
New technology, new ways of finding yourself, really, which is nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
So first of all, I thought it'd be really nice to introduce ourselves, and I love your work. I think it's so apt for our world today, why we've connected. And it's nice just to talk about how we can help and support our parents too.
Yeah. Cool.
So, do you want to kick off, Joe? Because obviously you do amazing happiness club and so much lovely work for parents and people to support, don't you? So,
I try to, Jo. Good name, by the way. Yeah. So I'm Jo Howarth. On social media, I'm Jo Happiness Howarth, which is why I hesitated slightly on the there. I'm Jo Howarth. I am an advanced hypnotherapist, and I am a mindfulness practitioner, and I am a long-time student of the law of attraction. I use a combination of all of those things in the work that I do. So the main work that I do is that I run the Happiness Club, which is an online membership club, where members receive daily support, daily advice,
nice.
24/7 support to help them with their mental well-being, mental health, and generally with their attitude towards life, really, towards themselves and towards life. So yeah, we do that. So that's the membership club, and then obviously we also run a schools program, and we run corporate workshops and webinars and things like that as well. Just
Yeah.
all designed to teach people how to be happier in themselves.
No, it's nice because one of the essence of Aqua Sensory is gaining that inner sense of yourself. And I think the foundation, or one of the foundation stones of that, is happiness, which is why I was so pulled to your lovely work. But we are all about connecting with people, helping the early years and the aquatic professional, and also supporting parents too. And when people think about swimming, they think about it as quite a physical process, quite mechanical. So Aquasensory takes the swim skills, but also it overlays in layers the emotional side and the sort of social connection as well. So I like your work because it touches on all our feelings and happiness, which is nice.
Yeah, and I have to admit, actually, until you and I first spoke, I hadn't considered swimming in the way that you described it to me when we spoke on the phone a while ago.
Yeah.
It was really awesome to listen to you talk about it, because it was a real oh yeah, well, actually it's a really mindful activity.
Yeah.
And it does allow for a lot of layers of learning, I think, and awareness, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people just do think of it as a skill-based activity and of outcomes, whereas you can actually go into a different mindset with swimming. And as you say, you can use the water very mindfully, and it's actually a natural process as well. You don't have to do it; it's almost there. The water's giving you that feedback naturally, which is really nice. But should we start? Because I was going to ask you, because happiness means so much to different people. Have you got any words of wisdom to offer about what you think happiness is? Because I think today, with what's going on in our world is completely upside down and changed. How would you describe happiness, and how can we all, should we be seeking happiness at this point in time?
So I do get people who say things to me like, "Oh, you just teach people to walk around with big silly smiles on their faces and pretend everything's okay when it isn't," and that obviously is not happiness. I do teach people to focus positively, but I absolutely do not teach people to ignore the negative, which is what I get, not accused of. That's a bit strong, but I get people commenting on things like that. Oh, well, yeah, let's just ignore all the bad stuff then. That's not what it is at all. For me, happiness is about learning how to manage those emotions, how to understand the different emotions, how to relate to and respond to all the different emotions that go on inside every single one of us, how to sort of foster a relationship with them, if you will, so that you can then listen to and release the ones that don't feel very nice, which I hesitate to call negative emotions, because I don't think there is such a thing as a negative emotion. I think every emotion has a purpose. It's there to tell us something. It's there to give us a message. So that isn't negative. That is always in our favour, always positive for us. But then we can release those ones that don't feel so great, and then move our focus on in a positive way. That for me is what happiness is getting to that point where you understand that whatever you feel is okay, that you can deal with however you feel, and that you take the time and the effort to pay attention to the world around you and your place in that world, so that you can then feel more comfortable in your own skin. That's what
it is, that awareness, isn't it? And why I'm drawn to it is because I feel the senses is so interconnected to our feelings, and it's like almost the basis of who we are. But you use a word there which I really like and enjoyed listening to you, and that is listening to yourself. Do you have any tips for parents how they can help themselves and maybe help their children listen in that little bit more? Because that must feel a bit of an awareness practice, or it might not be easy to everybody.
No, it's not. And I mean, I'm not perfect. Please don't misunderstand me. Anybody don't misunderstand me. I am not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And I, struggle with this from time to time as much as anybody else. I have two daughters who are 12 and 10. My 12-year-old is turning into a teenager by the second.
Yeah.
So
I can relate to that.
Yeah, there's joy to be had there. I think this is probably part of the change that we're coming up against and through now, because I think a lot of people pay lip service to listening. But because the world's been so busy, and we are so busy, and there's so many things to do and think about and see and consume, and there's so much around us now, that I think listening is one of the key skills that we have lost, that we have forgotten. We kind of hear what the other person's saying, but actually we're looking at something on our phone at the same time.
We filter, don't we? We have this really great way of just filtering out, and everything has become a little bit of background noise almost,
Totally. And my husband, bless him, will absolutely, if I'm on my phone and he'll talk to me, and then I can kind of hear him in the background, and then I can just hear him go, "You haven't heard a word I've said, have you?"
That's multitasking.
Well, that's it. Multitasking for me does not work in the slightest. So when I talk to people about listening, for me, it equates to being present.
Yeah.
It equates to being fully present in that moment with that person, even if that person is yourself, and actually properly listening. So again, my eldest daughter, had a bit of a meltdown yesterday. She's obviously missing school. She's missing her friends. She had a bit of a meltdown yesterday. She came to find me while I was in the middle of doing some writing. I do a lot of writing for the work I do. And I do actually do a lot of my writing on my phone. So I was lying on my bed, as you do, hurrah, writing on my phone, and she came to find me. And part of me wanted to carry on what I was doing whilst she vented, if you like.
Yeah.
And actually it took a conscious effort for me to go, oh, no, because I can write this any time.
Yeah.
I'll put the phone down and I will actually give her my undivided attention. And actually, I'm not even going to think, because that's the next thing. You put the phone down, but then you're looking at the other person, thinking about the thing you were doing while they're talking to you. So again, it's about
Yeah.
consciously switching your entire focus.
Yeah, I think children are really good at picking up, much more than us, with whether or not we are listening. And we could look like we're listening. We might have that eye contact, we're looking at the lips. But as you say, there's something tick, tick, tick in your head. You know, we're busy, we might have something, you know, or that's cooking, whatever. Children are so intuitive, aren't they, of picking up whether or not we are actually listening or we are really talking their language as well, because you know, are we actually in tune together? I think that
Yeah,
children can really pick up on that, on parents,
yeah,
and who they're close to, really.
definitely. One of the favorite games that I teach, if I deal with parents and children, is I ask them to play what. I'm not very good at imaginative titles, so I call it the listening game.
That's
That's
good.
as catchy as I
Nice.
get. But I say to them, right, okay, so one of you sit facing each other and you have a timer, okay?
Yeah.
And you set your timer for 2 minutes or 3 minutes or however long you agree, not for like hours, but a couple of minutes. And one of you is the talker and one of you is the listener. And the talker can talk about anything they want at all. There's no rules. They can talk about anything. The
Yeah.
listener has to listen fully, pay attention to what the person's saying. Once that 2 minutes is gone, then the listener then has to repeat back to the talker what they heard, what they thought they said.
Yeah.
And then the talker gets to say to them, oh, no, actually, that's not what I said at all. Or,
Yeah.
yes, that's completely
I
right.
bet 2 minutes feels quite a long time as well.
Yeah, it does, it can do. But the thing I find most interesting, the feedback I get most from teaching people that game,
Yeah.
is that 9 times out of 10, the listener doesn't get it right.
Yeah.
The listener will have misheard, or that the talker will have said something that's made the listener's head go off on a tangent of thought that
Yeah.
they've then made up an entire story and then come back to focus, and then that's what they regurgitate. And actually, it's not what the person was saying or meaning or
Yeah.
anything like that. It's a really interesting game to play.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It makes you go, oh.
Yeah, I like that. We could actually use that, first of all, if we're swim school owners, we can use that for our teachers, and to, you know, like a team game.
Yeah.
If we were also tutoring as well, courses with new learners, that would be really interesting, because I think everybody has a different learning style. So it's tapping into people's learning styles. And as you say, being really, truly present. And you could even play it with the pool, you know, your 4 and 5-year-olds listening, doing a skill, and then the others actually watching, listening, and copying as well. That would be really good fun, rather than us always having to be the teacher. I think children are fantastic at guiding and practicing and showing their peers.
Definitely.
Oh.
Definitely. Actually, that's a really interesting point. One of my happiness club trainers at the moment, because obviously we can't do quite a lot of the work that we normally do. One of the things we do is go into schools and teach a 4-week program, and we can't do that at the moment. So one of my trainers is running an online version, just an open online version. And she got a message from one of them. She ran a session yesterday afternoon, so it's once a week for 4 weeks. And she ran a session yesterday afternoon, and one of the mums messaged her afterwards to say, thank you so much. My daughter absolutely loves this. Here's a video of her teaching her dad what you taught us today.
Nice.
The girl, who was 5 or 6, had decided that she was now a mindfulness teacher. And Daddy had to sit and listen to her teach him what she had been taught. I was just like, oh, that's just too gorgeous for words. That's just beautiful.
Yeah, no, I think our children can actually guide us and teach us an awful lot if we have that openness and that desire, really. At Aqua Sensory, we always have an expression that we see the pool from the eyes of the child, and that might be really nice, funny activities like swimming around, looking up what we think they can see and do, and it's really putting yourself into the bodies of and the minds of children as well to really get that curiosity and inspiration, which is really nice. That's a really nice little practice there.
Cheers.
Would you say that happiness was almost like an inside job? Because I've heard that quite a lot of people say that as an expression.
Yes, I do. So I definitely adhere to that. That happiness is utterly comes from inside. Two people can experience the same thing and have a completely different experience of it based on their conditioning, their learned behavior, their beliefs, whatever. So absolutely, their attitude to life, happiness definitely comes from within. I also adhere to the saying, if you like, that happiness isn't an end point. It isn't a destination for me. A lot of people pursue happiness.
Yeah.
You know, you talked before about seeking happiness. That's slightly different. A lot of people pursue it and want to do this thing because then they'll be happier, or get this thing because then they'll be happier.
It's always the future, isn't it, rather than the present moment?
Totally, that's it. And for me, happiness is always present, always present. It's our natural state of being, it's our birthright, it's how we are supposed to experience the world. But so this is not my analogy. I really wish it was, because it's genius, but I cannot possibly take credit for it. I can't tell you whose analogy it is, but it's not mine, but I will give it to you. So I've heard a few times this idea that if you think about the sky, the sky is always there. It's always there, it's always present. And sometimes it gets covered up by clouds so much that you can't see the sky itself. All you can see is clouds. But you know the sky's there, and the sky hasn't gone anywhere, and it's still present. You just can't see it because of the clouds. And happiness is the same. It's there all the time. Just sometimes we cover it up with our cloudy thinking, with the beliefs that we've learnt about ourselves, about the world, with the conditioned behaviour that we've learnt, the programming that we've learnt, the autopilot that we've learnt to live in.
I really like that, because for some reason, I'm always drawn to clouds as well. I can sit there for hours and just counting clouds, and I see shapes and things in clouds. So I completely relate to that, because if sometimes I have thoughts, I do also think of them as clouds, knowing that although it might feel a little bit grey, that it is a cloud and it will pass. And to not enjoy the cloud, but to actually know that it will pass, and to almost experience those feelings and to feel it passing as well, and not to feel stuck if the cloud is there, really. So I do like your sky.
I love that.
It's not always bright, is it?
No, it's not, but it's always there. That's the thing. And I do think, I mean, I absolutely love that. Like I say, I really wish I had come up with it, but I didn't. I am clever. I'm just obviously not that clever. Yeah, and I love your point about the clouds passing. Clouds move. That's the thing. They move on. They pass on, and so do our emotions. They're temporary. They're not. Nothing is permanent. Everything changes all the time. Just that sometimes, again, when we work in schools, we'll say to one of my favourite things to do with kids in schools is I ask them what day of the week it is. And they'll say, oh, it's Tuesday, Jen. I say, brilliant, nice one. Okay, so that means it was Tuesday yesterday. And it will be Tuesday tomorrow. And then it'll be Tuesday. And then the day after that will be Tuesday. And they're looking at me like I've lost the plot, obviously. And I keep going until the class is literally shouting at me, no, it's not Tuesday forever. What are you talking about? And I say to them, why isn't it Tuesday forever? Because the days of the week change, Jo. Awesome. The days of the week change. Who in here has ever felt really, really angry and felt like they're going to feel like that forever? And half the class, breaking my heart, will put their hands up.
Oh,
who in here has felt really, really sad and felt like they're going to feel like that forever? And half the class will put their hands up. And I say to them, right, so I want you to understand that your emotions are the same as the days of the week. They change all the time.
Yeah.
Just because you feel angry now doesn't mean you'll feel like that in an hour or tomorrow or next week.
Yeah.
It just means you feel it now, and it will pass. It will move on, like you say, with the clouds. It will move on.
Yeah, that's really nice, because I think it's something that all children can relate to, something as simple as the days of the week change. So it's given them almost like their language, isn't it? And tools that they will understand. We do quite a lot of feelings in the pool. We sometimes have mirrors, and we pop them all on the side of the pool, and we play funny faces. And the parent can reflect back as well at the child, and the child can sometimes not even say how they're feeling, but just be aware of their face, which is really nice, even from a very, very young age, even from babies, the reflection in the water of their parents and together, which is really nice.
Sounds gorgeous.
Obviously, babies that can't talk non-verbal, they're still full of feelings, emotions, and expressions. So it's picking up on those tiny gestures, isn't it? Those little cues, which is nice.
Definitely.
I really like that in schools. I think with the current climate and the change that there's going to be more schools subscribing and being more aware to mindfulness and bringing that practices into schools.
Definitely. I mean, it was on the agenda anyway, wasn't it? Before, it was already growing as a marketplace, if you like. Absolutely, the awareness of mindfulness and all of that was already picking up pace.
Yeah.
And I just think, I mean, I did a Facebook post yesterday in which I put in and I know I'm biased because I work in mental health, but I think the biggest impact that this whole thing is going to have is on our mental health and well-being. I think that is the thing that's going to be impacted most.
Yeah.
I can't see how it can't be, because there's so many different ways, the isolation thing, people are losing their livelihoods and their wages and their businesses, and there's just so much going on that is all going to put a strain on what's going on in here.
That emotional resilience, isn't it? We're being pulled in every direction, and what I find interesting is it's affecting us all. It's not just isolated, and we're all feeling it in our own little ways. And it doesn't matter if it's young or old. It's obviously not just this country, it's global too. So certainly I think in terms of us in the pool, I see that we've got a bigger challenge and a really fantastic job of providing a forum, and again a natural forum where families can come together and enjoy being together and enjoy being in the water without having also the pressure of the learn to swim. The preschool and baby programs are all about bonding and the emotional side in the pool. So I'm really looking forward to nurturing and bringing that together. Sometimes parents were maybe subscribing to swim school programs because they were very much on let's teach my baby to swim. But I see that as very much an old program. I think the new updated program will be people wanting a lot more and being a lot more aware of their own feelings and emotions in the water, definitely.
Definitely, I agree completely. I can't see, like I say, I can't see how it can be any other way. I think this whole thing is going to make us, even those people that don't really want to be more aware of the thoughts and feelings, it's kind of forcing it all on us at the moment, isn't it? I can't see how anyone can come out of this thinking and feeling the same as they have previously.
Yeah, definitely. And I think for parents and families, one of the things that we're, as a family, really enjoying at the moment is not actually doing too much at all. And in that place of not complete acceptance, but trying not to go doing nothing, and absolutely not, so slow and being in a really slow mode. And also, again, not trying to do too much and fast. It's finding that inner flow. I always call it neutral. And I do think that I try to instill in the children as well, finding that feeling of just coasting, and try not to work out everything that's going on, because there's too much going on. So try not to work it all out, and just, enjoying the view really and coasting along. We have lots of car analogies in our house. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree again. I think, my youngest daughter actually earlier said to me, "Oh, I'm bored." And actually, I don't think there's anything massively wrong with
Yeah.
being bored. I think actually when we're bored, I mean, within a few minutes, she had come up with about 3 different ideas of things she could do. But she has to get to that point of stopping for that creativity to kick into action almost, if that makes sense. I think having that, like you say, neutral, I like that neutral place, but being comfortable, because we're so used to being busy and fast and
Yeah.
doing. I think learning how to be comfortable in that space is one of the most invaluable skills you will ever pick up for yourself. Whether you come to it naturally yourself through a process or whether you have professional help to get there, I think getting to that point where you feel, like I said before, comfortable within yourself and comfortable enough to just be, rather than to constantly have to do, which we're all guilty of.
Yeah, it's life, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think, there's another old cliche, isn't it, that we're human beings, not human doings. But we've forgotten how to be.
Yeah, well, this has definitely given us that time and space to be, isn't it? For sure. And it would be lovely to feel that the parents came to the pool to simply enjoy and be. And all of our teachings that we've written about and popped in our programme, that just suddenly makes so much sense. That would be amazing to have that, because we have lots of little messages behind taking our time and finding our flow in the pool, not putting too much pressure on the children, and allowing them to take the lead. What are they interested in? I'm excited, actually. I see it as a real opportunity, giving us this precious time to think. But naturally, it's also a time that can be quite challenging as well, definitely.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like I said before, there's a huge range of emotions that everyone is experiencing at the moment. But again, I think really, if you allow yourself to, and again, I think this is a human thing, we tend to push against the emotions and resist the ones that we don't want to feel. I had a day, as you very well know, last week when I felt completely rubbish. I felt awful. I just woke up feeling this enormous sadness. Just could not shake it off. So I stopped trying to shake it off, and I allowed myself the luxury of the full day to just let those emotions flow through me. And I felt 1,000 times better for having given myself that space to allow those emotions to move through me and so that I could come out the other side of them, instead of going, no, I don't want to feel like.
And I think it's almost that sense of loss, isn't it? We can sometimes focus on all the things that we feel that we're losing. I've just written something about Easter, and some people, think of Easter as a time of loss, but actually, on the other hand, you can look at it as a time of opportunity and abundance as well. Would you do you say that a lot for your parents? Do you look at like reframing the moment, different perspectives? Are there any tools or practices that we can sort of give our parents to help with their children reframing, but also for themselves as well?
So honestly, the key tool that I would use, again, for me, it's about where you focus your attention.
Yeah.
And for me, the key tool that I use to refocus my attention if I need to is appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
Just the most beautiful practice. Just giving yourself, reminding yourself of all the things you have in your life that you can appreciate, all the things you have around you that you can appreciate. Focusing your attention, one of my favorite things to teach and do myself with kids and with grown-ups, is to ask them to find something that they feel is beautiful, that they perceive as beautiful, because we all have, so that might be a flower, it might be their child's face, it might be a picture or a painting, something that they find beautiful, and purposely focus all their attention on that thing for at least a minute. So I did it this morning, not through any need particularly, just because it's part and parcel of who I am these days. But my youngest daughter, again, she's 10. Obviously, this is all unsettling stuff. She's spent quite a few nights sleeping in bed with me, bless her, recently. And so when I was getting up and dressed this morning, she was asleep in my bed. And
that's quite nice, though, to have that.
It's totally gorgeous. And yeah, totally gorgeous. And I mean, she's getting in and cuddling right in, and it's just beautiful. She hasn't done it since she was about 6, so it's gorgeous.
My daughter's definitely wanting more hugs and saying it as well, you know.
Yeah, totally.
Having that deep pressure.
Yeah, totally, it helps. And so yeah, while I was getting dressed, I turned around at one point, and she was just sort of sprawled on my pillow, fast asleep, which is when they look most beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And I just took the moment to stare at her and appreciate. And she takes my breath away. She's unbelievably beautiful. Obviously, I'm totally biased, but I just took 10, 20 seconds to focus my attention completely on her and to allow her to take my breath away, to allow that beauty to flow through me and go, oh man, I am the luckiest woman in the entire world. No two ways about it. So actually, again, consciously, purposely practicing appreciation is...
You could do that yourself, couldn't you? To start with yourself as well, because I think sometimes we do, don't we? We look at a lot of things outside, but actually sometimes we forget about ourselves as well. So to really make sure that we appreciate ourselves and how great we are, and almost filling our little emotional cups up as well, and making sure that we are have all the tools that we need, whether or not that's eating and sleeping, all those extras really that we need, really.
Definitely. And to acknowledge our own beauty, as you say, and our own brilliance, because again, it's not something we're taught generally, unless families are looking.
We forget about ourselves sometimes, don't we? We really do.
We're not taught to acknowledge ourselves in any way whatsoever when we're small. We're, hopefully the work that you do and I do is helping to change that. But I definitely, when I was a child, was not taught how brilliant I was. I was taught how rubbish I was and how in the way I was, and to shush and not speak when grown-ups spoke, and all of this, and to put other people first and to care about other people more than I cared about myself, and all of that stuff. And like I say, I think that's changing. But I think we have, as parents, I think we have to start with ourselves, like you say. We have to start going, no, do you know what? I'm gorgeous. I'm kind and I'm friendly and I'm clever. And I do this every morning. I list out all the qualities and aspects of myself that I like, that I'm pleased I have. It's a powerful exercise to do.
Yeah, I always think everybody has an inner gift. And I think this opportunity is actually giving us time to find those gifts, and that could be writing or reading or music. I'll give you a little story that I'm so proud of my son. No one really ever knew that he could play the piano, and he was drawn to music. And when he was 16, we were walking through King's Cross station, and someone was playing one of those free pianos. and beautiful classical music. And he said, "Oh, I'd love to play the piano." So because he's very visual, he watches and then he can sort of learn fast. He just started to tinker on a computer first of all, and then was picking up patterns of music. And he bought a very small keyboard. And I'm not joking, it felt like a week, but it was probably 2 weeks. They'd upgraded to this big keyboard and he could watch videos and then play. So very quickly, he just saw the music, heard the music, and can't read music but can play really, really complicated music as well. And I wonder if this moment in time will give us, and children as well, finding those inner gifts, because something drew him to that watching and really thinking, oh, I'd really like to give that a go. So how many children are out there that have got inner gifts inside that they haven't actually tapped into?
That's gorgeous. I love that story so much. And yeah, I completely agree. Again, we've got the time, haven't we? We're being given this precious time to. I saw a video earlier this morning from a coachy type person. I didn't watch the whole thing, but he started with that of, some people have just not had the time ever to stop and think, is this actually what I'm doing with my life? Is this actually what I want to do? Is this actually what fulfills me, satisfies me, drives me, makes me feel my fullest me? Is that, and a lot of people are so on the treadmill and so in the autopilot, automatic way of life that they've never stopped to consider any of those things. And again, I did a Facebook Live the other day saying, I see this as a massive opportunity to reassess and reevaluate every aspect of your life if you choose to.
Yeah.
What will I put up with when we go back to normal?
Yeah.
What will I still go back to doing? What can I drop out of my life? Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's almost like thinking how many hidden artists are out there and musicians and filmmakers. It's going to be such almost an explosion of creativity, isn't it? But also, bits that we don't necessarily want to, continue with and let go. We're lucky as swim teachers that the water is so fulfilling that it's. I think that's one of the things why we're missing the water so much, because it just gives us, it sort of reflects and it feeds so much. You've only got to be in the water for lots of families, and if you're a little bit tired or as soon as you're in the water, it just uplifts you. And I always think smiles and happiness has almost like a rebounding effect, doesn't it?
Definitely. Definitely.
Oh, perfect. So, Jo, where can we find all your work and your happiness club if parents and aquatic and early years educators are really interested? Because I love your happiness club.
Thank you. Well, the best place is the website, which is thehappinessclub.co.uk. You can contact me through that. You can find out about all the different bits and bobs of business that we do, all the different strands to the business. Again, social media, search me out on Facebook. I'm all over Facebook.
I like you give away so much in terms of practicalities, though. That's what I like your work, and I read it, and then it always just inspires my brain to just think in that little bit of a different mode.
Thank you for that. Cool. Yeah, so for social media, Jo Happiness Howarth, or the website is thehappinessclub.co.uk.
Oh, thank you. Well, thank you for connecting today and talking. It's been really nice just to let it all out and to connect and hopefully give people a little bit of a different perspective and happiness.
Fingers crossed. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah.
Love chatting.
Oh, thanks, Jo. I'll speak to you soon. Take care.
Bye. Bye.